Hello and welcome to Southpoint Church. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you're still in the foyer, please start making your way into the building and find yourself a seat. Those of you watching us at home, grab yourself a quick cup of coffee and we're about to get started. Let's roll the countdown.
Good morning, Southpoint Church. Won't you get up on your feet as we worship together? Psalm 118 verses 1 says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his love endures forever." And there is so many reasons why we can praise our Heavenly Father. But one most importantly is for who he is. And he is worthy to be praised in this house this morning. So we're going to sing a song, and the translation of it is, Jesus is good. And we believe that this morning. So why don't you sing with us? Let's go. Let's clap our hands this morning. Yeah. Somewhere you found me, your kingdom wouldn't leave me the same. And I still remember everything you've done since then. 'Cause you are the King, your reign is forever. You give us your peace, it feels like we're home. It's not from the world, but here in our hearts, we never get to over this. We say, Makanaka, Wari Makanaka, Makanaka, She Jesu, Makanaka, Wari Makanaka, Makanaka, She Jesu, yep. So now I am finding everything you've spoken of me, and I am forgiven. I call your name and I believe, oh Lord, 'cause you are the King, your reign is forever. You give us your peace, it feels like we're home. It's not from the world, but here in our hearts, we never get to over this. Here we go. Makanaka, Wari Makanaka, Makanaka, I really love you. 'Cause you know me like no one else does. 'Cause you know me like no one else. Let's sing it out. I love you, I really love you. I do, I really love you. 'Cause you know me like no one else does. 'Cause you know me like no one else. Hands up! We say, Makanaka, Mwari Makanaka, Makanaka, She Jesu, Makanaka, Mwari Makanaka, 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 say, Makanaka, She Jesu, Makanaka, Mwari Makanaka, Makanaka, She Jesu. Oh, you're never going to leave our soul. 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 You're never going to leave our soul.
Yes, Father God, we ask you to come into this place this morning, Father God. We ask you to lift any burdens that people have brought in the room this morning. And we worship you, Father God. There's nothing worth more. And there's nothing worth more that will ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. And I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, when my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. And Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. And Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. It's your presence, Lord. When the music fades and all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's a word that'll bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself, it's not what you have required. You'd search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. Oh, sing it out. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, when it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. It's all about you. King of endless world, King of endless world, no one could express how much you deserve. Oh, though we can pour, all I have is yours. Every single breath, yeah. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself, it's not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my
it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made it. When it's all about you, yes, God, it's all about you, Jesus. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. Yeah, it's all about you. Oh, yes, we long for you, God. Fill our hearts, yeah. Sing it out. It's all about you, Jesus. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. Let's sing it out. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. Yes, God. It's all about you, Jesus. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. It's all about you. It's all, yes, it is. Oh, it's all about you, Jesus. It's all, yes, yes, it's all about you. Say it's yes, God, it's all about you. Yes, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. When it's all about you. Yes, it's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made it. When it's all about you, it's all about one more time. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. It's all about you. It's all about you. Yes, God. It's all about, sing a new song, sing it out. Yes, it's all.
It's all about you. It's all about you.
It's all about you, Jesus. Amen.
That's how we check our levels. There we go. There we go. I'd like to welcome Marcus to our production team. He is a brand new sound guy this morning, and guess what? The pastor doesn't turn his mic back on. So that, I'm sure it makes his world fun as he's in the back panicking about why is the audio not coming through. So thanks, Marcus. You can turn me down just a hair there. If you're new here this morning, this is a regular occurrence. I do oftentimes forget to turn things on. Also, something about us is that we are a church that you can call home and a family to call your own. That's a big value of ours, and that comes from us just recognizing how important it is for so many people to have community, so many people to have a place where they feel like they can belong, so many people just to have a family that they can be a part of. And we really are a friendly church, and we hope to inspire you to Jesus. And what that means is we hope, even if it's just one thought, one iota of a thought, where you say, I wonder about that Jesus guy, then that's what we're trying to do here. So if you look in your seats, you'll see that there's a value card. This is what we call a value card. And on one side of it, this is everything you need to know about giving to the church, about putting your tithe, your offerings in here. We make this really easy for you. It's got a snap scan code so that you can give that way. It's also got our banking details in there. And if you tithe to us, we just want to say thank you. It just shows us how faithful you are with your finances with God, how you're trusting God with it, and that you see value in what we're doing here, because we couldn't do the things that we're doing without you guys. So thank you so much for that. And then on the other side, we've just got places for you to help us reach out and engage with you. Like, we can pray for you because you can put those prayer requests in there. You can sign up for Next, which is something we'll talk about here in just a minute. And then the last part of that card, you guys can go back one slide, is community. So many people are looking for community, and we've got some great community groups. And so we want to try and help you get plugged in. Our goal in community is that nobody's doing life alone, that everybody's doing life with at least one other person. Everyone's in relationship with somebody else. And then now we go to Next. Next is something that we believe is a great kind of offer to you guys. And this is for those of you that are new to the church. Maybe you've been lurking in the background for a while, or this may be your first Sunday. This is this is us being transparent about who Southpoint is. We don't want you to waste your time. Maybe you don't like us as a church, and that's okay. We want to help you understand why we do what we do and who we are, what our values are, and then more importantly, how you and your giftings and your callings can fit in here with us at Southpoint. It's also a chance for us to go over things like what do we believe about membership, about baptism, about salvation, all of those things. So that happens today. It's Sunday, August 13th. That's today, for those of you that don't know that. And it's right after this service. So the service ends today. We're going to end a little early because of load shedding. And then Next will be in here right after that. We've got a generator. We'll fire the generator up so you guys will have lights and things like that in here. This is something that we highly value, and we really look forward to it every time we get to do it. Next up, we've got a women's study coming, and these next couple slides are just some events that we have. These are things that are going on, and that I want you to have an opportunity to be a part of. Our ladies at 9:30 in the morning, from 9:30 to 11. This starts on Wednesday the 16th. You can sign up for this, ladies, if you want to be a part of this. You can go to the info table just outside the auditorium and put your name down for that. Men, we've got something for you. Last year, we did a retreat, and I believe that this changed the temperature of our church. I believe that it shaped a lot about what our church has become in the last year. And this is this year's retreat. It's September 15th through the 17th. It's at the Rocklands Christian Center. And it's something that I'm so excited about. After seeing what God did last year, I can't wait to see what God is going to do this year. It's an absolute amazing time. We had an incredible time together. So you can sign up for this. We've got a link you can use to sign up for it, or you can go to the info table outside. It is $750 per person, but we don't want to let finances get in the way of anyone coming. So if that's something that you can't afford, then we'll have you in here scrubbing floors, and we won't do that. We've got scholarships set up for that. So listen, there's no shame in not being able to afford this. Just come talk with either me or with Pastor Linton, and we'll make sure that you get there. Not a problem at all. And then lastly here, the one of the last slides, new service times. I'm starting to freak out a little bit because we're 2 weeks away from this. For some reason in my mind, this was still like a month away. So August 27th, everyone say August 27th. Okay, we're moving to 2 services. Everyone say 8:30. Now everyone say 10. Okay, if you show up at 9, then we know that, then you're me. Then we're the same. So we're like each other. 2 services coming up. We're super, super excited about this. We've got a team that's doing some decoration that's going to look nice in here, going to look different. For those of you that notice, the coffee shop's empty out front. We're not closing down. We're not going out of business. We've got a new company that's coming in. And so next week, you guys will see that coffee shop reopen back up. So you'll have your cappuccinos and flat whites. Although, I must say that with no coffee shop, more people were on time this morning. So that, we may leave it that. No, we won't leave it that way. So that's coming. Just want to let you know we've got a new company coming in. But this is something we're really excited for. If you haven't kind of indicated to us what service you'd like to attend, you've got a card in your seat. And all this doesn't lock you in for life. It just helps us with planning. And so you can fill that in, and you can drop that at the table in the back there. And if you want to volunteer, help increase our volunteer base as we make space for more people coming, back on this side of the room, we have a chance for you to do that. We've got a thing that we're trying called Linktree, and this is an area where we've just tried to make it really easy for you guys to sign up for stuff. And there's a QR code that we'll leave up here for you for a second so that you can pull your phone out and scan that. And that'll give you the everything that we're doing. So this is how you find all the signups, all the stuff I've spoken this morning that you'll forget about. If you go to Linktree, if you go to that link, then you will find everything that you need on there. And then lastly, our WhatsApp number here. This is also one of the best ways that we can communicate with you. If you send us a message to this number and say, hey, add me to the broadcast list, then that's great. That's where we send out those links. That's where we kind of send out a little bit of information on the upcoming sermon, that sort of thing. So I'm going to pray for us, and then we're going to jump into the service. But what I want to pray about specifically this morning is just to address the taxi strike and the impact that it had on so many people. I know that it's just had a huge kind of citywide impact, and even it's kind of gotten out to a national level. And I was thinking about this, and I first want to ask you guys, before we pray about this, I just want you to, even if you have to tell yourself and you don't mean it, I want you to tell yourself this, that I believe that this prayer that we pray now is going to work. It's going to make a difference. And it's not because I'm going to say anything magical. There's no magic formula here. It's just you making this statement, you know what? We're going to pray, and this prayer is going to work. And as I was thinking about what to pray for with this, because it's such a kind of a complicated issue, I just thought, my prayer is that South Africa, its leaders, its people, everything from the president all the way down to, the average person walking the streets, my prayer is that they see a hope for this country, and that they see that it looks different from the trajectory that we're on, and that everyone has their eyes open to that, and that we all start moving towards that, together as a unified nation. So I think that for me, that's the prayer for the country, is that this country sees a vision of, wow, we actually can be different. We actually can be a country that inspires hope for everyone. We don't have to live in the corruption and the chaos and all that. And so that's what we're going to pray for. So let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I lift up South Africa, its leaders, all the politicians, all our business owners, the taxi owners, everyone in this country. And Lord, South Africa is not going to accept the reputation that it has a corruption problem. Instead, we're going to ask you, Father, that you just open the eyes of our leaders and our people to that, and that you inspire them, inspire their hearts, inspire their wisdom, their eyes, their ears, to see that there is a different version of this country, this nation that's out there, that brings freedom to all, that brings hope to all, that brings healing to people that need healing. Father, I can't exactly put words to it, but I know that there is a plan for this nation because it's full of people that you love. And the only thing that I know to ask for is that you open the eyes of our leadership and our people and our country. And what they see is so attractive that they can't help but change everything to run after it. So we pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Amen. Okay, and I believe that's going to work. So this is the last of a series that we're in called The Weight of Your Words. And we're going to finish this up today. I've had some really good feedback about this series. A lot of people have really enjoyed it. I feel like it's equipped you guys on how to kind of communicate with each other, how to talk, how to forgive, how to do all these things that have to do with your words. And today is a really important day for me because today is a day that I feel like I can actually equip you and give you something even more than the last 2 Sundays that can help you immediately or help you today. And I think that you guys, my heart, if you've been around here for a while, then you know this. My heart is for you. So I'm not preaching to the crowd right now. I'm speaking to you. You guys matter to me. You're important to me. I have a burden for you. I think about you often. I pray for you often. Every time I prepare for a Sunday morning, I always think, why does this matter to them? Why is this even important for them? And as I thought about this, I asked God to really open my heart up to maybe some of the things that people are going through, some of the things in the room, the experiences that people are having. And the thing that came to mind, and it goes well with the sermon, is that there's a whole bunch of us here that have some relationships that maybe aren't in the best shape or aren't in the best order. And if you don't have relationships that are in bad shape, then what we have and what so many of us have is patterns that oftentimes lead us to relationships that are not in great shape or not in great order. And I feel like that if I could say anything today, the things that I want to say to you are things that will help you to get some of your current relationships healed and in order, and also stop the patterns that continue to put you into bad relationships, hurt relationships. And the pattern just continues and continues and continues. So everything that I say this morning comes from a heart of love. And it comes from a hope that what we talk about this morning can help you. And especially those of you that are in a strained relationship right now, or that are dealing with strained relationships right now, then I hope that this helps you immediately, because life is short. Life is too short for us to be upset with each other. Life is too short for our relationships to be not great. And so that's what we're doing today. We're talking about these 3 considerations that we take into account as we talk about how we use our words and how the weight of our words impact each other. And just as a bit of a review, the first 2 of those considerations is this here. Number 1 is going to be that not all words weigh the same. And what I mean by a consideration is this is something for you to kind of think and for you to have in your thought and in your mind as you're talking with people. It's like we need to realize the impact that we have on other people with our words. So when we realize that not all words weigh the same, that helps us to make good decisions on the words that we say to people and the words that we don't say to people. And sometimes that can even help you to know that something you're not saying is something that you should say. And if you miss these 2 messages, you can go online, either our YouTube page or our website, southpointchurch.co.za, and it has links to all of this stuff. Then the second consideration was that our source determines the weight. So the source where that communication is coming from determines how heavy or how important all of those words mean. And probably my favorite phrase from last week was the relationship that you have with somebody is different than the relationship that they have with you. And that has a lot to do with who's in authority, who has a position of power, and in that relationship. But for us to recognize that our relationships with each other are not equally balanced and that that's okay, but it helps us to treat each other in a better way, I feel like. So these are the first 2 considerations that we talked about. Now, today, this one's probably a little bit harder to unpack because I couldn't quite get the wording, the way that I wanted to. But today's 3rd consideration is this here, and it's that there is no necessary correlation. That means the 2 words are connected between intent and outcome. There's no necessary correlation between intent and outcome. Another way to look at this is that intent is usually irrelevant. So let me explain to you what this means. Because what the word intent means here is what did you mean when you said something? What was it that you were trying to do, or what was it that you were trying to get across? To use the same word in the definition, what did you intend for it to mean or intend for it to impact somebody in a certain way. So let me give you a physical example of this. So growing up, we had a big wall kind of off the side of our house, and we used to always kick a soccer ball off of it or throw a basketball against it, and it was just this huge wall that was a retaining wall. And for us growing up, we had a big driveway, and so we could kick a ball against it, and that was what we did a lot. I'm sure our neighbors hated it because, 8 hours a day, it was just dunk, 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 dunk as we kicked that ball against it. And one day I kicked the ball, and for some reason I was kicking it at the garage because you had 2 garage doors, and in between the 2 garage doors was a brick wall attached to the house. And I used to like to try and, hit that wall. Never mind the huge wall next to me. Why not aim for the tiny small wall? And so I kicked the ball, and I broke one of the garage windows. And I remember thinking, I'm actually going to die. My parents are going to kill me. Because I was young, and I thought, a broken window is punishable by death. And I remember my mom sending me to my room, and, hey, you're going to wait till your dad gets home. And me thinking that this is it. Like, I'm dead. And I'm sitting upstairs flipping a coin. If it's heads, I die. If it's tails, they let me live, and just trying to figure out, like, oh, man, this is such a big deal here. And and to kind of give you closure on the story, I didn't really get in trouble, that my parents did understand that it was an accident. But the point is that because it was an accident, it doesn't mean that the window refixed itself or that the window fixed itself. Yes, the window was broken. It was broken by accident. But it doesn't mean that, I'm sorry, this was an accident, and so the window magically puts itself together. See, the intent was not to break the window, but the intent to not break the window did not impact the outcome, which is that the window broke anyway. So that's a physical example. Now, if we kind of transition that to an example within ourselves, our intent may not be that we say something that hurts somebody or that breaks somebody's feelings or that breaks somebody's self-confidence or breaks a relationship. It may be an accident, but that doesn't change the fact that something is still broken. And so because it's broken, just because it's an accident, it doesn't magically put itself back together. So that's what I mean by intent is irrelevant to the outcome. Is that no matter what your intentions are, the outcome still happens and broken things still happen. And just because it's an accident, it doesn't magically go back together. So what is it that we do when we've said something that ends up hurting somebody or that ends up accidentally even breaking somebody? So this is what we do. First thing that we do is we hurt, and then after we hurt, we explain. So this is super practical. Don't think too much into this here. When you hurt somebody's feelings, what's the first thing that oftentimes you want to do, especially if it's an accident? You want to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, you know what? Forgive me, that was an accident. I didn't know that you were listening. I was actually talking about, another person named Jessica, not you, Jessica. I'm so sorry that you heard that there, but it was not about you. So we've hurt somebody, and now we're trying to kind of explain it away. We want them to understand that we didn't do it on purpose. We want them to understand that everything's okay. It's us trying to get them to understand it. Now, I know that every single one of us in the room do this here. So I want you to connect with this point. Oftentimes when you hurt somebody, your spouse, your wife, your friend, your coworker, whoever it is, when you do it, our default action is to try and explain why it happened and to try and explain that hurt away, because that's the goal. If we can say something and make the hurt that they feel go away, then the whole thing goes away quickly, and that's a win. That's our goal. But it doesn't work that way, because the truth about explaining is this. It's that explaining is not the same. It's not equal to repairing. Put that, there you go. Explaining does not equal repairing. See, just because we explain something, it doesn't repair the relationship. We think that it does, but it actually does not. I could explain to my mom how the window was broken, but that does not magically put the window back together. So as you sit here, you think, I'm going to I'm gonna take you through this in so many different ways here, just over and over and over again. You've said or done something that's hurt somebody or hurt their feelings. It could be different from that. We're just gonna stick with that as our example. You've said or done something that's hurt someone's feelings. Your default emotion, your default action is, I want to explain myself so that they're not hurt, or so that I'm justified, or so that this thing can go away and it can be dealt with and we can just move on. And the faster I do that, the better that it is. It's a win for all of us. So in order for this hurt to move or to grow or to repair or to get better, it means that I need to quickly explain something. But explaining does not repair. And what ends up happening is we get caught into this cycle. And I've called it sort of, this is what explaining in action looks like. So this is you and your spouse. This is you and your friend, you and your coworker here. And I've got 4 points that they're going to put on the screen here. And this is explaining in action. This is what's happening when you're trying to repair what's been broken. Number one, first thing we do is we try to explain the hurt away. And again, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry that came out. I was talking about somebody else. You have to understand that this was kind of an accident. Please forgive me. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I don't know why I said what I said, but, just trust me that I believe something else. We're trying to explain the hurt away. Then we want to justify that it was not on purpose. Are you tracking with me? This is our default. This is what we do almost every single time. Hey, I didn't mean to hurt you. And then you need to understand here that let me justify that this is not on purpose. What can I tell you so that you know that I did not do this to you on purpose? It was an accident. I'm sorry that it happened, but it was an accident. But then we expect from this immediate forgiveness. So we want this to be resolved immediately, to be over and to be done. And then we don't understand why we aren't forgiven already. We don't get that. Now what happens is when we work through these 4 steps, and you can probably think of a conversation or relationship that you've had this week, maybe even this morning on your way to church, where you worked through these 4 steps with somebody that's close to you, family member, friend, whoever, and you're sitting in a position now where you don't understand why things aren't forgiven already. And I can explain that to you. See, explaining when we've hurt somebody, we've hurt them. You've hurt them. They are hurt by you and by your words. So then when you go through these steps here, what you're saying to them is now, hey, I've hurt you, but now I need you to trust me. I need you to accept what I'm saying. I need you to get over what I said to you. I need you to forgive me already. I need you to immediately forgive me. I need you to trust that I didn't say it on purpose. I need you to be open and let all of my explanations as to why I hurt you be considered truth. And I need you to just stop feeling hurt the way that you feel. This is the way this comes across. Now, I know that there are some exceptions to this. Sometimes it is good to explain, something that you said or why you said it. But I'm talking about in general. This is why when we take time to try and explain the hurt away, this is why it doesn't actually repair. And in fact, instead of repairing, explaining can often feel just like blaming. Because then what happens here from this is that we end up kind of taking people to a place of I don't understand why you haven't forgiven me yet. So what's wrong with you? See, I've played my part. I did mine. And I promise you, I don't know how many people are in this room, but probably 50 to 70% of you in this room are sitting in this exact moment in a relationship right now where you're saying, I've done my part. Now it's time for you to do your part. Yes, I said something, I hurt you, but I apologize for it. I explained it, I justified it, and I don't understand why you haven't forgiven me. So I've done my part. Now you need to do your part. And where that leads us to is almost to, like I said, to this blame. It's us saying like, now it's on you. I'm now blaming you because you've not forgiven me. See, explaining why we hurt somebody, it doesn't repair. Explaining oftentimes leads to deeper hurt. It leads to us playing the blame game. Or it leads to the person that you've hurt feeling like now they're to blame. So now they're saying things to themselves like, I don't understand why I can't just forgive you. I don't understand why I can't just forgive them. I don't understand why I can't just let go of this. I don't understand why I can't get over it, why I can't heal, why I can't move on, because this person that's hurt me, they've apologized and they've moved on and their life looks wonderful and they're happy and they're ready to go, but I still feel like a wreck inside, so what's wrong with me? Now, I'm the one that's ostracized from the relationship. I'm the one that's an outsider. I'm the one that can't get over this. What's wrong with me? And now they've taken on the blame. You know, I don't want our relationships to stay this way. Yeah, I know that you're in a relationship that's like this. And what I hope for is that we have less and less and less of these things. And a lot of what we're talking about today is social engineering. It's how do we actually share this planet and this world with each other. You know, and where it ties into like our Christianity and what it means to be a Christ follower is, you know, God tells us that the greatest commandment that we can follow is to love God and then to love others. Now, when we go about loving others, that means that we love others in our conversations, in our arguments, in our disagreements. It means you love your wife or your husband. It means you love your older brother or younger brother or sister. It means you love your coworker. It means you love the taxi driver. It means that you love our president. It means that you love all those people that have hurt you in your life. It means that you love all the people that you're hurting and you don't understand why they can't get over it and forgive you. But if we're going to be a people as Christ's followers that follow that commandment, love God and love others, we need to understand some of these truths. That when we try and explain hurt away, it ends up blaming people, or we end up placing the blame on others. And so you think, okay, well, what if I just say sorry to this? Because sorry is a very good word. It's a healing word. And so to kind of talk about apologies, so instead of explaining something, let me just apologize for it. And I'll give you a shortcut to the end of the message. The apology is the right thing to do. But we need to understand a couple things about our apology. So let me bring you up to speed on this here. You've said something to somebody and you've hurt them. They feel some kind of hurt in their relationship with you. You've now taken time, you've tried to justify it, you've tried to explain it away, you've got expectations that they forgive you, they don't forgive you, you're trying to understand why they can't just forgive you, and maybe there's been some blame associated, and they feel a little bit of blame, you know, they're taking on blame on themselves. So now we're at a point where you think, okay, I'm open to trying to heal this thing. You know, Pastor Chris is up there teaching us this stuff. Okay, he says, apologize, let me apologize for what I've done. But we need to understand that when we apologize, it doesn't mean everything is just healed and ready and back to normal. Because apologies don't do that. If I take it, okay, let me explain to you again in the physical. Because it's really easy to understand physically before it is to understand spiritually or to understand emotionally. So let's just say, for example, okay, I'll tell you another story about myself here. Or actually, I want to tell you a different story. I remember growing up, I do make up some of this on the spot, but I do remember growing up, I was at my grandmother's house. This is not a story I meant to tell, but it's the picture that I have in my mind. I was at my grandmother's house, and it's actually my great-grandmother, and we were in her yard. It's a huge, huge, huge garden, and so we were in there, and I remember it was probably about 4th of July, which is our summer, it's our Independence Day. And I was watching my brother and my younger cousin fight each other with sticks, which was normal for us to do at the time. So my little brother, 5 years younger than me, he had a big stick. And then my cousin, maybe 2 years younger than him, had a big stick. And they were, you know, like sword fighting with it. And then I remember my cousin Bryson, seeing him, you know, swing at my brother Patrick. And he hit him like in the gum, like under the lip, and just like sliced it open. And so Patrick ended up having to have lots of stitches. See, my brother and I, when I fell, I bounced. When he fell, he broke. So he is an extremely tough guy. He's tough. He's strong. He's great. He's wonderful. But he's the one with all the broken bones. When he got hit in the face with a stick, his lip busted open. He needed stitches for that. And when my cousin Bryson said, "Hey, I'm sorry for that. I apologize for that," he was mortified that he had done this. See, here's what we can learn from the apology. See, the apology, it didn't reverse what happened. So apologies don't reverse or erase accidental injury to the body. Just because Bryson said, "Hey, I'm so sorry that I hit you with a stick, and now you've got to have stitches," it doesn't erase that. It doesn't take it away. Oh, I remember the story do you want to hear the story? You guys want to hear the story? I was out of college. This is crazy. I was out of college, and we were on my boss's property. It was working for a construction company. We had these 4x4s, these four-wheelers. I've not seen them here, but they make these 4x4s that have these roll cages on them, and they can drive in the mud. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they're amazing. And so naturally, me and a friend were doing donuts in one, and I was driving, and we were just slinging dirt, and kind of had gotten past that stage of thinking, and now we were just maniacally doing donuts, in the dirt. And one of the tires caught a rock, and that thing rolled. And of course, we're not wearing seat belts because we'd have to slow down to put a seatbelt on. We just got in and started doing donuts. It was the first time I figured out when you push the gas pedal down and jerk the wheel on the rear end. I mean, it was amazing. So anyway, we rolled this thing 2 or 3 times. Now, my friend sitting in the passenger seat, he did the unsmart thing. So I tucked. I just became a bowling ball, and I fell out the top and rolled away from it. But he put his foot out because I guess he thought, I'm going to stop this, this 1-ton piece of equipment with my foot, and everything's just going to be right. And it didn't work that way. The roll cage went across his calf muscle. And have you guys ever stepped on a grape? Yeah, that's a good picture there. Somebody drops a grape, you're in the store, you step on it, and it's like just pops. That's essentially what happened with his calf muscle. So as we're driving to the emergency room, and he's in the back of the car, and we're cutting his jeans, and there's, like fat and stuff stuck to the inside of the jeans. I remember saying to his wife, "Sam, I'm so sorry. Sam, I'm really, really sorry. Brian, I'm so sorry. Brian, please forgive me." It doesn't erase the fact that this injury is still there. It's still there. In the same way that this impacts us physically, in the same way that it's meaningful in a physical way, it's the same when it comes to our heart and soul. So we could change body, and we could say apologies don't reverse and erase accidental injury to the heart and soul. No matter how difficult or how light or how heavy the accident is, when we say that we're sorry, it doesn't erase that injury that happened. So yes, it is good to apologize, but that doesn't mean that when I say I'm sorry today, when I leave church and I go to that person and I say, "Hey, I apologize," we cannot have the expectation that it's just going to make all the hurt and all the pain go away. Now, it may happen. Healing may just automatically come, and if that happens, then amazing. But more times than not, it doesn't happen that way. And oftentimes when we don't get that reaction, then we take our apology and we start to add an explanation to it. "Hey, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. I didn't mean to hurt you." No reaction that comes. "Okay, but let me explain. Remember, it wasn't on purpose. It was an accident. I'm really sorry that happened." And so then what happens is when we take an apology and we combine an apology with an explanation, then that ends up sounding like an excuse. Put that on the screen for us there. I want you to let this soak in here, because we oftentimes don't stop at apology. We take an apology, we combine it with an explanation, and then that comes across as an excuse. It almost invalidates your apology. Say, "Hey, I'm really sorry about this, but here's why this happened." And the person receiving that apology is like, "Man, they just didn't get it. They just didn't get it. Have you ever heard somebody apologize, to you this way? Hey, I'm so sorry that you're overly sensitive and emotional. I'm so sorry that we had that, fight, that we had the other day, but you're like, you're pretty emotional, kind of unstable. So please accept my apology. And also I accept your apology for being, an unstable person emotionally. That's not a great apology. That's more of like an excuse. And then that brings me to what oftentimes comes after that. And that's this idea of like word damage. And as I was thinking about word damage, I was actually, again, thinking about comparing it to something physical. See, when I accidentally broke the window, it was easy for my mom to see that it really was an accident. It wasn't smart. It wasn't me being smart. Why was I kicking the ball against the smallest portion of the wall that was surrounded on both sides by windows? Not smart. But she could see and trust that it really was an accident. I wasn't just teeing off trying to knock all the windows out. So I said, Mom, I'm sorry, that was an accident. Okay, I understand it's an accident. Go wait for your father in your room. And that, that's the punishment, is waiting on the impending doom. And then when Dad comes home, nothing happens. And it's like, oh, my life is spared. But when we get out of the physical world and we get into what I call word damage, see, when you've hurt somebody, it always impacts trust. So it's really hard when I say something, I hurt somebody, and I try and explain it away, or I give an apology with a condition, and I say, hey, it's an accident. It's hard for the person on the other side of that. And we need to understand this, because there's somebody on the other side of your explanation. It's hard for them to trust that it really was an accident. And I mean, this is me in relationships. And oftentimes I can find myself thinking, yeah, but you said it. And because you said it, it means it's in there. And because it's in there for a reason. It's in there because you have thought it. There's always truth in jest. It's in there because it's a part of your thought pattern about me. Just because you say sorry, I don't know that it's no longer in there anymore. And in fact, now I'm left thinking and believing and wondering about this idea of like, okay, you know what? I'm not convinced that I didn't just learn something about the way you view and value me. So it's really hard to restore that trust. It's really hard when that trust is broken, because the person on the other side of your explanation, it's hard for them to trust that, you know what? It really was an accident. I really can't accept their apology, because that trust is impacted. So these are all things that we just need to understand. Right now, what I've done up to this point, and I'm about to read a Bible verse to you, and then we're going to close up. But what I've done up to this point is giving you good advice. This is good, tested, tried and true advice. It stands up culturally, it stands up socially, it stands up across all kinds of relationships all over the world. It stands up everywhere. This is good advice. But where does this good advice come from? This good advice comes from, I believe, the way that Jesus modeled that we should treat each other, that we should love each other. And then there's a guy in the Bible, James, who kind of brings even more meaning to our tongue and to our words. And that's the scripture that we're going to look at here. And in James chapter 3:2, it says this: indeed, we all, so that's we all, make many mistakes. For if we could control our tongues, so if you could control what you say or you don't say, we would be perfect and could also control ourselves in every other way. Meaning that the tongue is the hardest thing to control. So that means that you are going to hurt someone's feelings. You are going to say something wrong. You are accidentally going to call somebody something you didn't mean to call them. It's going to happen. Because the tongue is the hardest part of us to control. Our words are the hardest thing for us to control. And then he goes on in verse 5, and he says, in the same way, the tongue, it's a small thing, and it makes grand speeches. It's the smallest part of your body that has the greatest impact. But a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. So James is saying, all it takes, that tiny spark, is one word. It's you saying one word, one thought, one idea, and that spark is lit. And that lit spark can then turn into of fire. And then James goes on in verse 6, and he says, among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. So I'm reading this to you guys because I don't just want to talk at you. I want to talk to you, and I want you to receive these words. I just want you to understand or be aware of or be inspired to think that the things that I say matter, that there is weight to my words, that I am a source of words to somebody that listens to me. And all that stuff comes from my tongue. My tongue physically causes words to happen, but my tongue also represents something that's in my heart, because what's in here flows out of here, and it's really hard to control this here. And so James goes on to say, it's a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. See, what you say, it has that big of an impact. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. See, what James is trying to get us to understand is the severity of what we say and the impact that it has. The things that you say that come out of your mouth can build life, or it can tear life down. It can heal the broken relationship you currently have, or it can make it even worse and dig an even deeper trench. So if we've got a fire in our life, if you've said something, your words have sparked a fire, and now there's a huge bush fire that's burning. What is the fire that's burning in your life? Is it a failed marriage or broken marriage? Is that fire a broken relationship? So much of this has to do with people on people, relationship on relationship. Where have you said something that's created or sparked a fire that's now burning down somebody's hope, burning down